I was really interested to talk to you as well about this sort of succession angle, I suppose, because I'm seeing a lot of firms talking about succession, either in terms of perhaps a sale in the future, or bringing their successor up within the firm, to keep things going and to kind of keep the legacy going into the future. And obviously you've taken the reins from Barry, fairly big boots to fill, I imagine. Have you found that the work we've done together has helped there at all?
Yes, so Barry and we have been meeting weekly since the beginning of the year. So we had a transitional period. And again, giving each other that regular time to come together and to create a space where we both feel safe to say, oh, I didn't know about this, what's happening here? Or, can you explain this? Or what's the history to that? Or whatever. So that's been really important. The other thing that we do, which is time to think-esque, is between everyone that's having a weekly one-on-one, we have a shared document. So rather than coming into the meeting with a whole lot of things on a list that I need to tell you this, this, and this, we have a shared document so that people can go into that document when they have that time to think. And we're not then having that asynchronous communication of, oh, I need to tell you about this, or I need to talk to you about that. All of that can come out of your head and go into that shared document. So when you come to have that meeting, and when Barry and I come to sit down together, and we do it in lots of different places, we find nice cafes, and it's because the place matters, as you've taught us all. We can come to that feeling quite calm, because actually everything that we want to talk about is laid out. It's not a surprise to the other person. You can think about it before you go into that conversation, and there's no need to interrupt the other person, because it's on the list and you'll talk about it and it will come, and you can just allow the other person to speak, and you can listen to them. And Barry's an amazing listener. I have to say, he's very good at simply not interrupting, not speaking, and being thoughtful. So that has been a really useful part of our transition as well. And but giving each other that time and holding that time almost sacrosanct, really, and saying, I promise that I will give you half an hour every single week without fail. You then don't have to hold everything in your head. You don't have to grab them in the corridor. You don't have to worry, when am I going to be able to get them on their own because there's a difficult thing I need to have a conversation with. That promise of, I will give you my time and I won't interrupt you every single week, has been absolutely central to our ability to do the handover as well as we have, and we have done it really well.
It sounds like it. I think the word is interesting that you use the word calm, like ease was coming up for me there. It sounds like it's a very easeful way to have conversations, which must sometimes be tricky, because there's it must be a tricky thing or a hard thing for Barry to be stepping away, and then you're coming in and not really knowing. It's a new industry for you, although obviously you've known you've been around financial planning for a long time, but it's a new role, it's a new industry. It's challenging, must be challenging for both of you to be able to create the environment where you're having easeful conversations about the stuff that's coming up. I can imagine that's invaluable.
Oh, it really is. And at the start, we made promises to each other that, if something happens and I need to raise it, I promise I will raise it. And if you need to raise something, I promise I will hear you. And that sort of, that I think people miss those little relational points sometimes when you're doing as you rightly say, that there can be quite a lot of emotion when you're passing, particularly from an owner-founder. It's his baby. He created it. There was just him, 20 odd years ago in an office thinking, right, what am I going to do? And he's created this amazing business. And so handing it over, there is inevitably quite a bit of emotion. And from my perspective, of course, as well, there is quite a bit of expectation and desire to do a good job and to not misstep. But accepting that, both of us will make mistakes. Nobody can go through their entire life not making a mistake, and having compassion for oneself and for each other as well, and promising that compassion to each other is also a really important part of that, the emotional journey around a big succession, or it feels big to both of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. I think a lot of that is missed very often, because what is more common is actually, or the experience that I hear more commonly is frustration between the founder, owner, and the successor. And I wonder if what I love about your list of things across the whole business as well is that things don't fester. Then you're bringing them up when they're quite fresh, and it's not 6 weeks down the line and actually you're up to here with it, and you're bringing something up pretty early on. So yeah, that sounds like that. I mean, that must be helping.
Oh, I really think so. And it is a change, and that's the other thing. So when you're taking over in that sort of succession, when you're coming in, you want to do things differently. I've had my own experiences, and who wants to just carry on with doing it exactly the same way? Nobody does. And there are improvements. There's always opportunities for improvements. Of course there are, but that can sometimes feel like a criticism when you're changing something. So having that kind of, Barry would call it short accounts, and so sometimes we'll say, okay, in the interest of keeping short accounts, what was going on here? So yeah, it's not left to fester. It isn't, because it's so damaging, isn't it, when somebody has said something, or you've read something, or whatever it is, and you make up a story in your mind of, or they just think I'm terrible, they're really regretting taking me on, or whatever it is that's going on in your brain, and finding out what the truth is never as bad as the terrible things that you torture yourself with if you don't have that conversation. So we are also introducing feedback mechanisms, and that is as simple as ensuring that there is good feedback more than there is bad feedback, because it's so easy to just say, well, you didn't send me the report on time. But actually it's much less common that people would say, oh, you sent me that report on time and I just wanted to say thank you for it. So more good feedback than bad feedback. And just having a feedback model, though, which goes something like, can I give you some feedback? Asking permission. Everybody always says yes. When you do this, that happens. When you get me your report early, it means I can prepare really well for my board meeting. So thank you for that. When you send me the report late, it means I don't have enough time to prepare for the board meeting. Next time, can you get it to me earlier? Finished. End. Done. So yeah, that's not allowing things to fester. Having that open communication both ways is really useful.
So are there any other examples or examples that come to mind for you where the thinking environment approach, you've brought that in and it's been really helpful?
Yeah, it was slightly brave of me. So I've been going around all the offices to deliver a roadshow about my new strategy and the internal changes, etc. And so I did the presentation, etc. And I mean, there were quite big groups. In Bristol, for example, we had 40 people in the room. but I decided that after having heard your experience at Emery Little of using rounds for perhaps 30 people, I thought we'll do a round with every single person in the Bristol office, in the London office, and in Exeter. Bristol being the biggest office. So at the end of my roadshow, we did a round, and I explained to them what a round was and how it worked, etc. And I asked them to give me two things. I asked them to give me one thing that they were really excited about with the new strategy, and one area where they might need some additional support. And it was incredible. Every single person engaged. Nobody gave it a half thought. Everybody was fully engaged in it. The young people got to see the more experienced people, and what they were thinking. The younger people were given permission and space and time to talk about what they were concerned about and what they were really excited about. I learned so much from everybody about how I need to support them going forwards. And at the end of that big event, really, for us, everybody had spoken. There was nobody in the room that hadn't said anything at all. And whilst people might think that, doing a round in a room of 40 people was just too big and you couldn't do it, you absolutely can. And it was incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I just wrote down every single thing everybody said. I just had flip chart paper and wrote it all down, and now I've got it and I can go back to that. So it was incredibly powerful.
That's really great to hear. It's like you say, there's something about everybody getting to share their thoughts and have a say, and everybody's voice being heard, and also the information that you've got from that is gold, isn't it? As you come to implement that strategy and move forward, the whole change management piece, I guess, which you must be thinking about a lot, is it's a challenge. Bringing people along with you is a challenge, and so that sounds like you've just set out on that. It's a great first step.